to sports. It's season 10, episode 1, and boy oh boy do we have an absolute banger of a show right out the gate. We're talking NFL, MLB, NBA. As always, we'll give you our picks. So boys, without further ado, roll it!
Good to be back. We'll start in the city of brotherly love as last Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Los Angeles Rams 33-26 in a rematch of last year's NFC divisional playoff game. Philly started out slow but pulled ahead late with 2 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter, the later being a potential game winner that was blocked and returned all the way for a touchdown by star defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Connor, what does this crazy comeback mean for the Eagles season?
Well, I mean, it means absolutely everything, Mike. This Eagles team coming into last Sunday's game was 19-1 in their last 20 games, the best record in their entire franchise's history. And just when it looks like that streak is finally going to be broken, they come all the way back. Jordan Davis with that amazing game-saving blocked kick on his return. He recorded a speed of 18.59 miles an hour. That's the fastest any player above 330 pounds has ran in a game since 2017. I mean, come on, guys. When you've got that generational athletic talent,
That's faster than Derrick Henry's top speed against the Lions last night, Connor. But I just want to say, Eagles, scoring 26 unanswered points in the second half, largest comeback since their stadium was created in 2003, and the Jalen Hurts disrespect has to come to an end. The man is playing at an all-time high for him. He is managing the game, and he is getting the result that his team needs from him, and that is okay. That's all I want my quarterback to do.
Well, I will say that, I do agree that Jalen Hurts is a winner. I will say that A.J. Brown was flying in the second half yesterday. He was a major reason why the Eagles scored those unanswered points, and I believe without him, they would not have won that game.
the Eagles offense certainly woke up. Staying in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys traveled to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. And guys, the Cowboys defense must have thought they were playing in Lambeau because that secondary was absolute Swiss cheese in their 31-14 loss to the Bears. And on top of that, Cowboys star wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is potentially on the shelf for the next 3 to 4 weeks after suffering a left high ankle sprain. Mike, how do the Cowboys keep their playoff hopes alive?
Pain is all I know, Connor. The Cowboys do not keep their playoffs hopes alive. And frankly, I think there's no chance that with the way this team is playing right now, with the way this defense is playing right now, with the offensive production we've seen so far this season, I think there is no way that we make the playoffs. We barely beat the New York Giants. We barely beat the New York Giants in overtime off of a 65-yard field goal from the best kicker in the league. But that's all we have. That is all we have. Jerry Jones needs to go. Brian Schottenheimer, I'm giving you a chance, but Eberflus, get him out. He's got to go.
You brought up Eberflus. I mean, this Cowboys D is statistically the worst in the league at defending the pass. It's a passing league. It's going to be hard to keep up and score when you're missing your best wide receiver. I mean, I honestly don't see how the Cowboys can keep up with their opponents over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Connor. New school, old school. Ben Johnson takes down Eberflus, uses trickery, flea flickers. Roma Dunze said in an interview, he said, we have the right people in the building. We spread the offense really well on that 19-play drive at the end. And I think this is a good step forward for the Bears going into their season.
I think the Bears have a lot to look forward to. Caleb Williams went off last night. 4 touchdowns, 298 yards, and an 86.7 QBR rating. That's great for a second-year quarterback, especially someone that you want to lead your team going into the next 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely, Sammy. But heading out west, we saw a nail-biting finish as the San Francisco 49ers just pushed past the Arizona Cardinals 16-15. The 49ers, however, cannot escape the injury bug. They went into Sunday's game with injuries to multiple key offensive players like Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, and Brandon Ayuk. But now it's their defense getting tested as Nick Bosa is officially out for the year after tearing his ACL. Sammy, can the 3-0 Niners still win the NFC West without Bosa?
Honestly, no. I think that right now the 49ers have lost too many of their starters to even think about playing at a high level in their division. I mean, Brock Purdy is still hurt. Mac Jones is a acceptable backup, but he's not going to give. He doesn't have the X factor. He doesn't have the clutch factor. If you need a game-winning drive, Mac Jones can't get you those 78 yards for a field goal. I don't believe that in the 49ers' current state that they can win football games.
And Sammy, you say no, but they're sitting at 3-0 on the season. Obviously, these injuries piling up over the course of 3 weeks. But I mean, this team is finding a way to get it done regardless of who they have on the field. They have the depth there. They're making it work. Christian McCaffrey's still healthy for now.
Yeah, don't
knock on wood. Knock on everything.
Knock on everything.
But I think this team is still very capable, and obviously the Rams are a really solid team in that division, but I don't see the Cardinals or Seahawks really being too much of a difficult task to top.
That defense is certainly going to struggle without Bosa. Since 2021, he has 142 QB hits. That's most in the league, and they are 6-12 when he does not play. So he is clearly an impact player for that San Francisco 49ers team.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I just want to fire off a couple of names. We saw so many injuries around the NFL this week. CeeDee Lamb, 3 to 4 weeks. Nick Bosa, gone. Mike Evans, hamstring. Tyrone Tracy Jr., dislocated shoulder. James Conner, out for the season. Jaden Daniels is still day-to-day. J.J. McCarthy, out for a couple weeks. Najee Harris's season is done. Austin Eckler's season is done. And Colston Loveland, the rookie, is also day-to-day. Just absolute injury bug around the league.
I feel like we've been having a huge injury bug the last couple of years, and it's been insane. But on Monday Night Football, we saw a potential Super Bowl preview between the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions. The Lions out-physical the Ravens all game, leading to a 38-30 win, and managed to sack Lamar Jackson 7 times. Mike, have the Lions fully recovered from the Week 1 loss to the Packers, or is this all a farce?
I'm not sure what's going on with the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, you started out phenomenally, and then you lose to the Cleveland Browns. So we'll get to that next episode, but this Detroit Lions team looked really good last night. Really, really good. They stuck right with this Baltimore Ravens team, who are 1-2, but are a team that is very capable of being 3-0 if a couple things went differently in these first 2 weeks. And I think this Lions team did a phenomenal job. Jared Goff not having to do too much because that run game was just so strong for this team.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you could get to arguably the most elusive quarterback to ever play the game, it's between him and Michael Vick 7 different times. I mean, by the end of the game, you could obviously tell that it was affecting LaMarvelous Jackson. He wasn't LaMarvelous last night, that to say the least. And on top of that, Derrick Henry with his 3rd fumble in 3 weeks. He only had 3 fumbles all year last season. That running game for Baltimore, which used to be their big strength, not nearly as reliable to start out this season.
Yeah, absolutely, Connor. And on the flip side of that, as Mike touched on earlier, I mean, Sonic and Knuckles had such a dynamic performance, but it all came from Madubuike's injury on the defensive tackle for the Ravens. Him not being there, it led to so much vulnerability for the Ravens up front, and the Lions just took advantage of that.
100%. I mean, the entire game, you could see a look of visible frustration on Lamar Jackson's face. He could not read that defense. He could not tell what they were doing, and I think the defense ultimately was the X factor in the game to take it away from him.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll continue our talk about Week 4 of the NFL season and get in some MLB playoffs here on WTOP.
Would you like to try snacks from faraway lands? Or snacks with bizarre flavors? How about snacks in new ways? Or snacks you've never tried before? You don't have to go far to find these snacks. They can all be found here at Snacks on West 1st Street.
Yeah, we're walking around campus, and what do we see?
All these clubs are looking.
They looking for me.
There's hockey,
There's improv,
so much to see. So let's go try them out and see how they be. Come on and please watch.
Our embarrassments free. Tune in to Amateurs on WTOP.
Happy Friday, Lakers, and another beautiful day here in Oswego, New York. I'm DJ Don Perone, and I'm happy that you're starting your weekend off right listening to WNYO 88.9 FM, the Laker Radio Network.
I said, darling, can you see? There's no room for us. There's no room. Never lies are cheating.
And welcome back into Stick to Sports Season 10, Episode 1. As we near October and playoff baseball, a couple of teams are fighting for their lives to stay in the hunt. And one of the biggest stories heading into the playoffs is the collapse of the New York Mets, which I love to see. Despite having the highest payroll in the league and Juan Soto putting up career numbers, the Mets have fallen out of the playoff picture in their last 15 games. The New York Mets will take on the Cubs and Marlins in their last 6 of the season, hoping to claw their way into that 6th seed. After such a hot start, I have to ask Connor, what went wrong?
Well, Mike, I mean, it's the clear lack of depth in starting pitching. In the beginning of the year, when all of these Mets starting pitchers were fresh, this team actually had the best record in all of baseball at 45-24. Since then, they've played at a clip 17 whole games under 500 for the vast majority of the season. And I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to David Stearns, the Mets general manager's philosophy as their GM. He just recently came over from the Milwaukee Brewers, a small market team, where he operated under the philosophy that he was not going to give big money to any starting pitchers. When you don't do that, you don't get length out of your starting pitching, which then by June, July, and August burns out your bullpen. And now we're in a situation where the Mets just can't get 5 reliable innings from anybody except for these 3 kids, McLean, Sproat, and Tong, who they called up from Syracuse AAA about a month ago. But when you're relying on kids to help you make it to the postseason, I'm sorry, it's just not good enough. You need reliable arms.
And gentlemen, let's remember, there's always highs and lows to every season. But the low shouldn't be this low. I mean, since June 12th, the Mets have gone 35-52, and only the Nationals, White Sox, and Rockies have a worse record in that span. Like you said, Connor, they're a little stretched thin. Their pitching rotation looked solid. It looked manageable at the beginning of the season, but everything was firing on all cylinders at the beginning of the season. And then, you know, guys like Alonso and Lindor kind of fall back a little bit to earth, and, you know, now they're looking around and, you know, they're saying in interviews, we just have to win. But how do they win? They're in a really cold spot, and it's at the worst time possible.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm a Yankees fan, so it's always nice seeing the Mets fall apart. But it was weird having them fall apart at the same time as the Yankees did. It's just something weird in the water in New York.
All right, so on the flip side of a collapse, the Cleveland Guardians have been on a historic tear to get themselves back into the playoff picture. The Guardians will take on the Tigers and the Rangers for their last 6 games, with the most important series starting tonight. Cleveland is just 1 game behind Detroit for the AL Central, which they could have by as soon as tomorrow. It'll be a close finish. But Alex, give us a little context on the historic comeback. How did the Guardians manage to turn their season around?
2 words, Connor. Jose Ramirez. You know, he's 3rd in MVP voting right now, and he should be getting more recognition because he deserves it. But he batted .282, 30 home runs, 81 RBIs this year. But let's get into a little bit of context. Cleveland trailed Detroit by 15.5 games for the division in early July. No team has ever won a division title or pennant after a deficit that large. And on July 8th, Cleveland's odds of winning the division were 0.1. Yes, that low. And now they are 1 game behind the Tigers in a series that they start tonight. It's actually on right now. But at the time, the Tigers were 59-34, one of the best records in the majors. But the Guardians, with their coach, with Jose Ramirez, and with a lot of rotational guys stepping up, they have clawed their way back into this playoffs.
And Alex, this is a team that traded away their best players. They traded away ace Shane Bieber. They traded away their relief pitcher, Paul Sewald. And on top of that, their all-star closer, Emmanuel Clase, as well as starting pitcher Luis Ortiz, have been suspended for the rest of the season due to throwing games.
Gamble.
So, I mean, talk about a clubhouse that has just been through the ringer, and the fact that Stephen Vogt, the manager of this Guardians team, has been able to keep this group together. He's obviously manager of the year if this team can squeak its way into the postseason.
Yeah, we'll throw in a quick score update. Tied 0-0, top of the 3rd between these two. So, still anyone's game here.
Still anyone's division.
Here we go. But moving on, after 17 years in the MLB, a little bit of a bittersweet story. Clayton Kershaw has announced his retirement at the end of this season. Kershaw is a legendary pitcher who will undoubtedly be a first ballot Hall of Famer and make that trip to Cooperstown. But with the Dodgers primed for another playoff run, Sammy, could we be in store for a fairy tale ending for Kershaw?
Well, wouldn't that be nice? One of the best pitchers, probably the best pitcher of our time, you know, getting his World Series with the Dodgers would be great. I I think that there's a solid chance the Dodgers go all the way again this year. I think that they have the team, they have the managers, they have the office, and they have the pitching to get them there.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, obviously, as a Yankees fan, I don't want to see the Dodgers win again, but you can't take away from them how good of a team they are, how complete of a team this Dodgers team is. Clayton Kershaw, a phenomenal player, an 18-year career with the Dodgers, 3-time Cy Young, 11-time All-Star. I mean, he's got everything on his plate. He's been so phenomenal his entire career, and to put this cherry on top would be so awesome.
He's already a 2-time champ. He's one of only 2 pitchers to ever win the MVP, doing so in 2014, as well as Justin Verlander. And this is a guy who's still effective. He's not one of these guys coming back in his later years just tossing the ball every 5 days. In 21 games started, he's 10-2 with a 3.55 ERA and a 1.3 WAR. This guy is still effective. And as a fan of a team who has experienced pitching depth injuries, I would love to have a reliable veteran presence like Kershaw on my roster.
Absolutely, Connor. And guys, it's just making me feel so old. I mean, Clayton Kershaw, Jacob deGrom, you have Max Scherzer, Verlander. All of these guys are going to be gone so soon, and it's sad to see, but we hope for the best for Kershaw.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll head into the fast break. I'll be testing these guys' NBA ball knowledge and see what hot takes they might have heading into the season. Don't go anywhere, as we'll be right back to Stick to Sports on WTOP 10.
With sports and news and what to do, we're here for you. It's your TV, you're watching WTOP. Your TV, thanks for watching WTOP.
Welcome to the fast break, where the pace is hot and the questions are hotter. Let's dive right in. First, we're blasting over to the city of Houston, where star point guard Fred VanVleet has torn his ACL and will most likely miss the rest of the 2025 season. This is a huge loss for the Rockets, as VanVleet was a major impact player and signed a 2-year, $50 million contract this June. Alex, how does Houston respond to this devastating injury, and do you think they have the depth to compete still?
Release Reed Shepherd. He was your last year's number 3 overall pick. Obviously losing Fred VanVleet, who stepped up a lot in the playoffs when Houston struggled on their offense, is huge. He's a veteran presence in a locker room. He's a former champ. He's somebody that can lead a team of young guys. But now the Rockets are just going to have to go right to the wall and release their young guys. Yeah. I mean, Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Jayshawn Tate, Reed Shepherd, these are all guys who are rotational and are going to have to step up in now elevated roles without their starting point guard here.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned how important Van Vliet became in the offseason, or in the playoffs, excuse me. He only averaged 14.1 points per game last season, but then that instantly jumped up to 18.7 in the playoffs, proving that this guy is trustworthy and a massive factor for your offense. Head coach Ime Udoka obviously felt comfortable giving him an increase in his role, but on top of that, I mean, you already mentioned Amen Thompson. I'm looking for him to take a massive step forward this year, especially with him kind of playing like a point forward mixed
dunker
role,
spot,
just
kind of just
guy. Running the offense there. And I honestly think we still have yet to see the addition of Kevin Durant. So despite this injury, I still think Houston, which finished as a 2 seed last year, let me remind you, I still think they are very much contenders in this Western Conference.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and Connor, you stole the words right out of my mouth. Kevin Durant, I mean, obviously, Fred VanVleet's a really big player to lose, but bringing in a guy like KD, a guy who's been in the league so long and is still so consistent, I think they're going to be just fine next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Amen Thompson averages 8.5 assists this year. I'm just going to say.
All right, guys. Well, it's that time of year again. The NBA is defrosting and preparing for another great season. There are plenty of changes that happen around the league, so I wanted to ask everyone, what team do you think had the best offseason? Connor, let's start with you.
Well, I'm going to go with a team that I think might have had the worst season last year, but also had the best offseason, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, anytime you trade away your star generational player in Luka Doncic, I mean, bad things are going to happen. Your fan base is going to get upset, and the league is probably going to laugh at you, which happened. But with that being said, they, despite only having a 1.8% chance to win the NBA draft lottery, they landed the #1 overall pick and the generational talent that is Cooper Flagg. In my opinion, it was all a conspiracy. Yep. Adam Silver called up Nico Harris and he said, listen, do you remember how bad the Lakers were post-Kobe, pre-Bron? We don't want to have that massive loss of revenue in LA anymore, so you're going to trade Luka to LA, and then I'm going to give you the #1 overall pick. I think that's how it went down.
I love it, Connor. I love the conspiracies. Keep firing them off at me. My pick, we just talked about him, but it's the Houston Rockets. I mean, outside of the obvious getting Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers of all time, the Rockets got a lot of rotational pieces and a lot of good defenders and 3-and-D guys that are going to be very useful down the stretch. The biggest thing the Rockets struggled with last year in the playoffs was they could not outshoot Golden State, but signing guys like KD, signing guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, a really good 3-and-D wing, 6'8", length, Clint Capella, one of the best defensive centers in the league, and still having re-signing Steven Adams, they are going to have a huge lineup, a lot of people 6'10" and over, and just rotate, keep going.
And we're running low on time, so I'm going to throw mine in here quickly. The Atlanta Hawks. You guys took my 2 answers. They brought in Kristaps, brought in Luke Kennard, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So some new faces in there, and they weren't great last year. So
and Jalen Johnson will be
maybe a sneaky team. Who
Still
knows?
has Trae Young.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for watching. I'm all done here, but don't go anywhere. We have extra innings coming at you after the break.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
I had to eat a raw egg on Chris's dormitory floor.
I currently don't have any federal pending charges.
You know what you never did? You never walked to Walmart, Chris.
That's my co-host. This is for making me eat roast Pop-Tarts.
It's showtime, Crits. Come on.
I want to be on the air for that. I got a couple things to say.
No.
spin the wheel. Oh, you got censorship.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Last but not least, let's head to extra innings for this week's picks. So, boys, as the back-to-back extra innings champ, yeah, I love it. Love it. I'm hoping one of you boys can take the belt from me this semester. I believe in every one of you, but it's not going to be easy. Let's get ready for some October playoff baseball. With the wild card round officially kicking off next week, we figured we'd give you our picks for each league's wild card seeding starting in the American League. Sammy, who you got?
Well, I got to go with the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan. I believe in them. I believe that they will take us to the promised land. I hope I'm not wrong. At 5, give me the Red Sox. We're kind of rooting for the Red Sox this week. And at the 6, give me the Guardians. I was enjoying what you're saying, Connor. So I think the Guardians really have a real shot there.
Well, I'm kind of agreeing with you on the 4 and the 5, obviously, but at the 6, I think the Astros are going to shock the world. I think the Astros are going to get her done. No one likes the Astros. I don't even like the Astros. But I think this Guardians' reign of being so good just out of nowhere, I think it's coming to an end.
I think you're wrong, Mike.
You'll see that my picks are also uniform in terms of the 4 and the 5 seed, with the Yankees and the Red Sox holding on. But I do have the Tigers in my 6th seed, and that is because I have the Guardians completing the historic comeback and actually taking the AL Central, forcing the Tigers to drop down to the 6th seed.
And Connor, I'm hopping on that hype train as well. They're playing right now, but I think the Tigers are going to fall to the 6th spot. But let's move on.
From the AL to the NL we go. Mike, how do you see those standings shaking out?
Well, Sammy, we all kind of got pretty similar things here. Me and Alex with the same, you and Connor with the same. I got Cubs at the 4, Padres at the 5, and then the Reds at the 6. I don't think the Mets are going to do it. I think it's been too bad for too long, and I just don't see them somehow swinging this around and making it into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, with the Cubs and the Padres being essentially locked into their respected seeds, it really just comes down to that 6th seed. Do you see the Mets? Do you see the Reds? Do you see potentially the Diamondbacks? This Mets team with their over $300 million payroll, there is too much talent on that team for them to miss the playoffs. And to be completely honest with you, I think it might cost some people some jobs if they manage to not make the playoffs with that high of a payroll.
I completely see that, Connor. What really came down for me is their remaining schedules. The Reds are playing the Pirates, and then they're playing the Brewers, but the last 3 games against the Brewers, they're going to want to keep people healthy.
They're not going to be starting their best
Might
pitchers.
give Reds the opportunity to go 5-1 right there. Mets play the Cubs. Mets play the Marlins after. Again, Cubs might be resting, but I think the Reds, if they go 5-1, take it from the Mets.
I'm going to go steal what you said, Connor. I think the Mets have too much to lose if they don't make this playoff spot. I think that they are. A lot of jobs are on the line, and a lot of players are going to leave if they don't make it.
Yeah, and moving away from the MLB and into the NFL, we've got 2 teams, one who we talked about earlier, but they've both significantly underperformed this season, facing off on Sunday afternoon. The 1-2 Baltimore Ravens, led by LaMarvelous Jackson, will take a trip over to Arrowhead Stadium to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Voodoo Magic Kansas City Chiefs, who also sit at 1-2 on the year. This one should be an instant classic. But with how these two have looked so far this year, Connor, what do you think is going to happen?
Honestly, Mike, I really wanted to pick the Ravens here. I really wanted to pick the Ravens, guys, but I can't be the guy. I have to be different. We all know the curse. If everyone picks the same team, we all look stupid and we all get it wrong. But I'm going with the Chiefs. This Ravens defense has underperformed so severely, and I mean, it's just Mahomes magic. The refs. It's just we've seen the script before.
Yeah, I will say historically the Chiefs usually have the Ravens number down. I mean, you go back to week 1, refs. But I will say the Ravens defense is the 2nd worst right now in the entire league. I think this is going to be a shootout, but I just think that Lamar and Derrick Henry and the firepower of the Ravens offense, they're still putting up almost 40 points a game every week. I think that'll give them the edge over the Chiefs.
I completely agree. I think that the lack of Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy in the Chiefs' receiving core is still a major impact. And I think that the secondary is just going to have a field day, or the Ravens secondary is going to have a field day with the Chiefs' receiving core, especially Juju Smith-Schuster.
And I don't really see this this Chiefs offense clicking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's lack of chemistry, it seems like. Travis Kelce doesn't seem like he wants to be there, so I don't know what's going to happen. But
fighting with
I got the Ravens as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good take. Well, that's all the time we have on this season opener episode of Stick to Sports. Be sure to tune in next week right here on WTOP 10.